Hello, and welcome to Optimize Profitability. Today, we're going to have Lyle in the hot seat. I'm Matthew. I am the executive producer of this podcast. So last week, actually a couple weeks ago, Lyle touched on anxiety, depression, and overcoming all that as an entrepreneur. Well, we forgot one important thing that we actually both deal with, which is ADD, and sometimes called ADHD for the hypertensive part of everything. So Lyle, tell me your journey in entrepreneurship dealing with ADD.
It's funny, Matthew. It's funny we talk about this stuff because people that are around me don't generally know that I have ADD, and that's the really fun part. And honestly, let's be truthful. A lot of people claim to have ADD when in reality they're just distracted and they're using something as an excuse. I'm just going to call it like it is. You'll find out I'm like that. I'm a little bit hyper today, and that happens sometimes. But it's really funny because I'm a little bit hyper today, even though I took an allergy pill and I'm totally zonked out. And sometimes that happens too. So ADD in life. Let's just talk about it real quick. I remember in third grade, I had to stay in class while everybody else got to go play or go watch cartoons and everything because I was always too active, too talkative or whatever, and the teacher would make me write on the board. You saw the BART things going on, you know?
Yes, I remember sometimes going to your board.
I will be quiet in class. And the whole time I'm thinking, no, I won't, no, I won't, no, I won't. And so I would imagine, let's say they went to watch cartoons, a Woody Woodpecker or whatever cartoon, Scooby-Doo, whatever it was. And I would just literally imagine the cartoons and just literally just zone out and just be writing stuff on the board. So by the end of it, she couldn't even read it. It was just kind of funny. And I was looking recently at one of my report cards and all my characters were reversed. He has trouble with B's and D's and S's and everything. So I'm like,
it happens.
Yeah, when I was young, I was into all that stuff. And you think young, but as I've grown into entrepreneurship, I've always been the kind of person, I always had extra energy, more energy than other people. I mean, I'm up at 5 o'clock or whatever time I'm up and I'm wide awake. My wife's like, do you ever even sleep? Because the moment I'm out of bed, I'm like, let's go. What are we going to do? I mean, that's kind of how I am. My wife's the other. Let's chill, let's relax, let's sit home, you know? So she kind of calms me down and everything. I understand that. But in entrepreneurship, we got to be very, very, very careful because we can use our ADD as a creative thing and be good. But on the other aspect, we can alienate somebody else with that same ADD. Because ADD, let's just talk about what is ADD, what does that mean, what's it look like, and all those kind of things. You see my hands flying around. It's funny because I used to teach teenagers and they used to make fun of how much I use my hands. This is literally how much I use my hands. And I can talk a lot faster than what I'm talking right now, but I slow it down for most normal people. And that's the way.
Very true.
Exactly. And it comes to a point where you realize you're like, you know what? I'm a little bit different than other people, and it's not a bad thing. You can fall into the disease version of it and use it as an excuse, or you can fall into the productivity purpose of it. So think about that. In general, ADD stands for attention deficit disorder. It means you're easily distracted. But every ADD person I've ever met, every one of them has had one thing they could focus on. I sit there and watch a person so ADD that they like jump all over their living room, get on a video game just for hours pushing buttons, totally still, not moving, not eating, not nothing. So there is a matter of being able to have that attention where you want it, but it's got to be something that you want. We get bored easy. Let's just be honest. And let me talk to those people who are not ADD and they're like, I don't even understand what the ADD is or what it means. The best example I can give, if you've ever ridden in a car and you drove somewhere over and over again, and then you ride in the car with someone else, all of a sudden you notice all these buildings you didn't see before. You're like, oh, that's over there. Oh, I didn't know that was over there. Because when you're driving, you're so focused, you don't see all those things. Well, ADD people, we see all the things at once. We're always alert. We're always seeing what's going on all over the place. And so we tend to have a heightened awareness. That's the way I would phrase it. I hate the word ADD. It ought to be attention decided.
Yeah.
Instead of attention deficit, because it's not that you have a lack of attention. You have a heightened attention than everybody else. And I kind of look at it like a superpower, let's be honest. Did I just go fuzzy? I think I did.
No.
Oh,
just a little bit.
Okay. But yeah. Oh, see, that's a good example.
That is ADD right there for you.
Yeah, I do that. I get distracted and everything. Yeah. Sometimes I'm just zoned out. The other night, it was 2 weeks ago, and I was so busy at work. And when I'm at work, what I do is I literally force all my ADD into my brain and try to use that as productivity. It's really weird. It takes a lot of practice, and I've been doing this for a long time. But I said at the end of the day, and my wife started talking to me about stuff, and we usually do a debriefing at the end of the day. And she starts talking, and about 5-10 minutes later, I look at her, I'm like, I know you're talking, but I have no earthly idea what you're saying. Literally, it's to the point where I was just like, I'm here, I'm in this place, but my brain just left and floated away because I began thinking about something and I got caught up in my head. So that's part of the way I deal with it. It's not a good thing necessarily. The way I deal with it sometimes is I internalize the ADD, I pull it in, but I will tell you, sometimes it jumps out and you have to let it out. So today I want to talk about how do you let it out in a good way, and how do you maintain or manage something that's ADD? I mean, when I was a kid, if you had known me, dude, you wouldn't have liked it. I was all over the place. I can't believe that people put up with me as long as they did, you know. My dad, well, my mother's example. This is my mother's description of me. That's her example of me. I just went all over the place, and then I would just crash, go to sleep at nighttime, and then I'm up all over the place again. And she, we won't get into her. But anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked by that. But I had to learn to deal with it because my father was a Marine, and he's like, you know what? You're going to deal with it. Sit down and do what you got to do. I'm going to give you discipline. And he's really a disciplinarian. There's the word. He's really a disciplinarian and said, hey, you're going to do this because this is the way it's going to be. You're in my household. This is how it's going to be. So I had to learn to deal with it. Even at a young age, I had to learn to deal with that energy. So I'd go out and I'd go run the neighborhood. I would go out in the streets doing things. I'd ride my bike. I had to do something active to get that energy out there because I'm the ADHD version. You can ask Matthew, and I won't tell the story, but generally we were in a meeting and I was so still at the meeting that by the time the meeting was over, I was literally bouncing. I was like, I just got to go. I got to run. I came home one time with my wife and I was just like, I'm out of it. And I literally just took off. It was like midnight. I just took off for a jog around the block just because I had to get that energy out. We have to have a release for our energy. If we don't, we bottle it up and it becomes uncontrollable. ADD is about controlling the energy or the attention that you currently have. And we think about that. Normal people, and I don't mean this in any bad way, normal people, we're all normal. We're all just special in our own way, right? We all have different things we bring to the table, different things we take away from things. And so with ADD, your attention, you only have so much attention because your attention is so wide and it pulls in so much. It's kind of like a stereoscopic vision of a lens or something like that. You see a lot more stuff. And so when you start your day, you got to get rid of some of those things that are going to distract your brain. So I'm sitting here at my desk. I've got a stand-up desk, number one, that helps me to get some energy out. Because as you can see, this is what I'm doing when I'm typing, when I'm moving, when I'm talking. I'm always moving. I have to be moving. I cannot sit still. We watch movies. I'll just get up in the middle of a movie and stand up there and start wiggling around or something. I just can't sit still because it bores me. I get boring. And if I sit still too long, I'm out. I go to sleep. But I say all that because I've got a stand-up desk. That's something I've used to control or help me control it. And also the way the desk is set up. It's got to be a little bit organized. If I have a lot of little sticky notes all over the place and a lot of notes all over around me and everything, that's going to distract me. And that's going to give me something to focus on outside of my work. Now, the good side about ADD is the creative side of it. You have a lot of energy. You have a lot of effort. You can really put forward into accomplishing something great, but on the other side of that, you get bored with something very easily. It's hard to stick to it. It's hard to take it to the next level. And so a lot of ADD people, they're flashing the pans. Oh, let's do this, blah, 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 blah. And then a month later, they're on to the next project. I've personally have mentored and dealt with a lot of these people, and they don't make it in success. They end up going back to whatever they were doing to begin with, and they lose their ability to be an entrepreneur because they're so busy all over the place. They have no control. So the old school saying is, if you don't discipline yourself, someone else has to discipline you. Now, when we talk about these things, helping it and helping other people, I pulled up an article, and this is written by a guy named Ryan McCrae, and I'm going to read part of the stuff it is. I'm going to interact with his article, if that's okay, Matthew. Is that cool?
That's cool with me.
All right.
I was going to ask you about a couple questions from that, and you're doing it perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, but he is an ADD mentor. I did not know ADD mentors exist. It's funny because on this research, I was like, you know what? How do other people deal with this? Because I know how I deal with it, but how do other people deal with it? So some basic things I do is I make sure I eat properly. I eat good foods because I realize bad foods may not be good for me and they may set me off. And a typical ADD person, I could drink an energy soda and go to sleep. You know, we process things differently. I eat dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is my favorite thing to do. Every day I have a chunk of dark chocolate. The antioxidants are good for you. It's got high caffeine. It's got high chocolate and everything, but it's so high in those categories that it doesn't offset my thing. Did I lose you, Matthew?
Yes.
Okay, your video disappeared on us.
Sorry, I'm still here. Keep going.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, so ADD. This is the there we go. The article says 10 ways ADD entrepreneurs can get ahead. Like I said, this guy's an entrepreneur. Now, I was reading other articles. The other article I read, you could tell that he was an ADD coach, he said, but you can tell by the way it was written that he's not an ADD person. ADD people don't like big blocks of text. They like little chunks of text. They like to be able to scan things. So if I'm an ADD person or you're dealing with an ADD person, make sure you have little snippets, little tidbits to go through things. Don't give them big, long chunks of things. Give them little things. Let them see progress, because the progress is what we feed off of. The progress gives us energy, the next step, energy, the next step, energy, the next step. It gives us that energy and everything. So going to his article, it's called 10 Ways Entrepreneurs Can Get Ahead. You can look it up. It's on a thing called fizzle.co or something like that. You can look up Ryan McRae. And actually, I was going to reach out to him, but he hasn't posted on his website for like over a year almost. So I was like, well, I'm probably not going to do that. But here's some things he talks about. Number one, he talks about clear the space physically. Clear the clutter off of your desk. If you're an entrepreneur and you have a lot of clutter on your desk, you're going to be distracted. I sit down with Matthew and I'll tell on you a little bit. But I look over and he's got this little, I have all kinds of random stuff on my desk. That's just what I do. But he pulled up this little bat thing that I had. And he's like, hey, I didn't know they made bats like this. I'm like, dude, just get to work. But it was in it was in his sight. It was in his reach. So he grabbed it and he took advantage of it, because that's what he does. So clear the clutter out of your space. Make sure it's organized. And if you're not an organizing type person, find somebody who is and have them help you. It's that simple. You're very visual. And so we are looking for something. Our brain is looking for something to grab and interact with. We go into the stores and it says, do not touch. I have to touch everything sometimes just because it says do not touch. I got to see what it feels like and touch it.
I've actually done that. When I went to Chicago or some state, I was touching the bikes and I didn't even notice there was a sign, do not touch the bikes. So the entire time I'm touching bikes from like the 1900s because I was so distracted. I'm like, ooh, this one was written by like Susan Armstrong. I can't remember the name. And as I'm touching it, I see the sign in the camera. I'm like, hi. So I get ADD too. I've had that experience.
Exactly. And so clear your clutter in your outside space, but also clear your clutter in your digital space. Okay. Now he says clear your space mentally, but I'm going to say digital. Clear your digital space. So if I'm going to be focused on something, I need to do a project, I'm going to turn off all my social media notifications. Personally, I've done that. I turn off all my notifications. If you don't direct message me, I'm not going to see it until I get to it, because I know that that's going to be a distraction for me, because our attention is like we thrust all of our attention into one location. And then if we don't deal with that thing at that one moment, it's gone. That attention's gone. The path that we were on is gone. And so we take a different path. So the key is when you focus your attention on that one area, stay focused, get to the end of that, and you're going to have more. We're going to get to that in a minute. All right. So learning is not the same as doing. This one's really cool because I kind of got this my own self. When you go take a course or something, we take the course and it gets in our brain and we start learning. We're like, oh, I'm learning all this stuff. It's really cool. That's not the same of doing. Our brain gets the dopamine effect from that learning. And because it does get the dopamine effect from that learning, we kind of feel satiated or satisfied. And we're like, oh, I just learned that. Great. I know it. Now I can go do something. But you go do something else. Don't do that. If you are going to learn something, put that something into practice. Don't let your brain get satisfied with just learning about the thing. Go put it in practice. If you're going to learn about Facebook ads, go place a Facebook ad, period. Don't let your brain be satisfied with only learning it. Okay, so only learn it if you're going to do it. We have FOMO. You know what FOMO is, Matthew?
Yeah, sadly, fear of missing out. And I do have a lot of FOMO.
We have FOMO and we have shiny object syndrome. Okay, so one thing I don't like, and we joke, syndrome. Yeah, we joke about this, the whole squirrel, and we look away. I hate that, honestly, because that so is not a good example of an ADD person. It's a derogatory way of looking at it. Let's just be honest. So ADD people, yes, we get distracted, but we get distracted because we're looking to see what's next. We're looking to see what comes next. We have the shiny object syndrome because like, oh, this will be good. Oh, this will be good. Oh, this will be good. But we're holding on to this other one, but we grab the next one and then we grab the next one. We're waiting for something that's going to work for us, that's going to entertain our brain, keep our brain activated, and that's going to be so much better. The rookiest move is what he calls the next one. And he says on this one, We go out and we get started in a business and we go compare our lives to somebody else's lives. So we're comparing somebody else who's already successful to us just getting started. And we're like, oh, we suck. Oh, this is sorry. I hate this. This is horrible. And so we convince ourselves that we're not good enough to complete what they've started. Well, don't do that. Don't compare your start to somebody else's finish. It doesn't work that way. ADD, that's what we do. We want to be there. We want to be there quicker. We want to be there faster. We want to already be there, but don't do that. You got to start somewhere and realize you're in the start mode. Make sure you have a path. And we're going to talk about that. The next one, number 5, is set small goals and small victories. So he said, think about you writing a 25,000 word book. Just a big number. Don't worry about the number. Anyway, you're going to write a book. So he said, well, just sit down and give yourself a goal of writing 100 words to start with, or 100 pages to start with, or write 2,500 words to start with, and then give yourself a small reward. Set up little tasks along the way. So if I'm going to write a book, I'm going to lay out 5 or 6 chapters. I'm going to do one chapter at a time. Do that one chapter, reward myself for that one step. The ADD brain looks for the next step. That's in essence what we're doing. We're looking for the next step. We're just looking faster. That's why when we're at a meeting, we're shaking our legs and looking around because we're looking to see what comes next. Because what's already there, we've gotten what we need out of it. Now we're on to the next thing. And I'm just talking, like I said, this is my experience. Your experience may be totally different. And I'm letting a little bit of my energy out today because this is who I am. I try to be more calm on these things, but this one's a little more fun because it's ADD, because this is what it is. But it's okay to be ADD. Just make sure you're using your ADD, if you want to call it that. Make sure you're using it for your benefit. Make sure you're using that for your productivity to thrust you forward, to give you that more energy, to take that energy to take your dreams to the next level. Don't let it be an excuse. Little small victories takes you to the next level. It gives you one thing to look forward to and one thing to look forward to next. Because we're always looking for the next thing. And if you're trying to do 25,000 words in a book, you're like, oh, I got so many to write. Oh, it's going to take me forever. And oh, I just want to Netflix. Oh, I just want to or whatever it is you do for fun. And so if you don't have those mile markers along the way, it's not going to help you do it. So it says your business is a long obedience in the same direction. So that kind of goes the same thing. You got to realize when you get into business, you're not here for 5 months or 5 weeks. You're here for 5 years. You got to think about it. You got to always think the long term. And with an ADD brain, like I said, we're looking for the next steps. So we're always looking to change our business and grow our business and move somewhere else. But in reality, we've got to take really care to focus in on that one thing that we're most passionate about. Focus in on that passion, delve into that passion, learn that passion to where when everybody hears about that one thing, they think about you. Stick to it. Sometimes it's okay to let ADD have the will is what his number 7 is. Sometimes it's okay. There's some days where I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to let it out and just relax. I'm just going to have fun. I'm just going to be goofy. I'm just going to be a goofball. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to be energetic. I'm going to talk fast. I'm going to do a goober, whatever. Let it out because that allows you to be creative. It allows you to separate yourself from your business. And then you're going to have more of a vision of what you're going to come back to in your business. So if you allow that creativity out, let yourself play, let yourself have fun. Play is huge as an ADD person. Yes, play, please do. But when you let that energy out and you let it go, that allows your brain to relax. And when you come back to your task at hand, you're ready to go. Number 8 is you got to kill something. Ooh. Sometimes we have so many things where we say yes to everything. We got to sometimes say no to something and just say, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. Put it off to somebody else. I literally met with somebody yesterday. I'm not going to say she has ADD, but she may. But in the middle of it, she's like, I got this and this and this and this. And I'm like, why? Why do you have to do all that? What about this? You don't have to do that. Don't do it. And so I helped her separate the things that are going to be beneficial to her business and things that are not going to be beneficial to her business. When you separate those things out, the things that you don't like doing, get rid of them because that bores your brain and makes your brain want to do something else. We're impulsive. ADD people are impulsive. We do things without thinking. We're like, oh, let's do that. Let's just go make it happen. But you got to be careful about that because that can be taken to a negative form if you don't allow yourself to have that freedom to release some things in your life, to get rid of some things so that energy level is not so focused on you trying to do something you don't want to do. Does that make sense? All right, so benchmarks was the next one. We kind of covered that when we talked about small victories. Benchmarks just says if I have a big goal and the goal is 5 things, I'm going to break it into one thing and I'm going to do one thing at a time in that goal. That breaks it down. That allows me to know I have small steps that I can do. Number 10 is a reward system. If you do something and you accomplish something, reward yourself. It can be big or small, depends on where you're at financially as well as mentally. So for Matthew, I joke with him. I was like, you can do this and then go buy yourself some socks. He loves socks. It's weird. Do you have some weird socks?
Yeah, I still don't understand. No, I have ankle socks today.
Okay. But I tell him, look, if you accomplish this X number thing, go buy yourself a pair of socks. Pick one that you really like and go for it. It's a little goofy thing, but that's what triggers his brain to say, oh, this is a good thing. Because what happens is our brains get triggered with endorphins from little tasks, little things quicker than most.
Exactly.
And then because it's triggered quickly, it also gets bored quickly. And when we get bored with something, that's when things happen in the bad side of things, and we don't want to make that happen. Matthew, you're timing this, by the way?
We are at almost 30 minutes.
No, we're not.
We
started at 3:44, 15. Well, it's 3:44, and it's 15 minutes till 4. So we're at 20 minutes. Okay. So the last one says buyback time. What this guy, his story was, he hates doing laundry. So he found a laundromat that it was $1 a pound for them to do his laundry. They'd do his laundry, they'd fold his laundry and give it back to him all in one big bunch.
I need that.
So find the things that bore your brain and get somebody else to do them. I mean, I'm just going to brag on my wife. I love my wife to death, and she is the tedious person. She does all the little things, and she's great at that. She can sit around and read all day long, and I'm just like going, what are you doing over there? Let's do something, But she does all the little tedious things, which helps my brain to be creative, helps my brain to relax, helps my brain to reach out for those bigger things, for the God purpose that I was created for. So guys, if you're listening, if you stayed this long, you were able to pay attention. Number one, if you heard the whole thing, you're probably ADD because you understood what I said when I'm speaking at the speed.
The best.
And number two, you can accomplish great things. Don't let anybody tell you that you have a deficit. Instead, decide today that your attention is focused on your success, and you are going to be success because you're going to put 100% in there, just like everybody else. But your 100% comes quicker than everybody else's when you can focus and get that energy in there. Take these little tidbits. Go look up this guy online. He's got some really good articles. I've learned a couple things from his page myself. Again, his name is Ryan McCrae. That's MCRAE. If you ever hear this, Ryan McCrae, because we're talking about ADD, maybe you run across it, reach out to us. I'd love to have you on here. I'd love to talk to you personally. I think it'd be kind of fun. But anyway, that's what I have for today. Matthew, you have any final questions, sir?
No, you pretty much covered all the questions I was going to ask. That's how it works.
I just kind of ran. And think about something like this. I mean, I could talk for an hour like this because this is my energy level. This is what I want to do. I'd love to have like a whole group of people that were all at ADD and we're saying, hey, let's do some group coaching. This is what it's going to sound like. And it's going to be at this speed. We're going to do this. When I watch videos and stuff, I fast forward. I'd make them 2, 3, sometimes 4 times the speed, depending on the person. And I actually learn from it because it allows my brain to activate and everything. So tips for ADD people: keep yourself organized. Keep your desk organized. Turn off digital distractions. Get somebody to help you with a tedious task that distracts you. Allow yourself to have fun. Let your brain relax so that you can focus on your vision and you can have that creativity. And number 5, don't beat yourself up. Have the small goals, the small victories for your big ultimate goals. Make sure you set those into little pieces so you can accomplish little things and reward yourself so you get that internal reward system that you've set up. Don't let somebody else give it to you. You have to reward yourself. All right, I'm Lyle. This is Optimize Profitability.
I'm Matthew, and we're out of here.